Hi there, and welcome to part 2 of our posture series. Today we're going to be focusing on the rib cage. So when we talk about posture, the ribs will really tell us a lot about especially what the pelvis is doing. So what I see really commonly is this anterior tilted pelvis, so where the bowl of the pelvis is tipping forward. And a lot of times what will happen is as the pelvis tips forward, the ribs are going to kind of like do this splay. And so what we're going to be working on today is taking these lower ribs and keeping them in, and that is going to help us maintain this neutral pelvis, right? And then we're going to do some work with the neck as well, but the neck we'll be really specifically looking at in part 3, so stay tuned. We are going to get started off on our backs today. I will be showing options with blocks. If you don't have blocks, you could do stacks of books or just not worry about it. So let's come down onto your back. And you can bend your knees or keep your legs straight. And go ahead and just place your hands onto the sides of your ribs. So you can kind of like wrap your fingers around your rib cage there a little bit. And just start by softening or closing your eyes, letting your neck and your shoulders relax. And just as you begin to breathe, maybe in and out through your nose, just begin to notice the movement or potentially the lack of movement in your ribs. And just see if every time you inhale, if you can inhale out into your hands. And then as you exhale, just feeling the ribs draw back in. And so we're really working at this 3D breath. Breathing into the front, into the back, into the sides. And let's just take one more round of breath there. And then go ahead and just let your arms come down. And we'll bring your feet to the floor, so your feet are about hips width apart there. And then start to lengthen your tailbone forward. So you feel your sacrum, so that bone right at the base of your spine, right above your butt, push down into the floor. And if you took the last class on the pelvis, just feeling kind of everything in front, like in that diamond shape, drawing in and pulling down. So your low back feels nice and lengthened there. And then keep that feeling and lift up into a low bridge. And so we're using the glutes to push up into the front of the hip rather than arching the low back and lifting up that way. And then let's take your left hand to the right side of your rib cage and bring your right arm straight up toward the ceiling. So we're gonna lift that right arm up a little bit higher. So let that right shoulder blade slide out to the side a bit. And then take that right arm overhead just little by little, and we're keeping this right side of the rib cage from doing one of these and popping up. So we're holding that down. And when you notice the ribs start to pop, just don't move your right arm any further. All right, so we want to lift the arm there without the ribs popping forward. And then if you can keep the ribs down there, you can take the left hand back to the right hand And just stretch out the wrist, pulling the fingers back. Good. And then let's do the opposite. So take the right hand to the left side rib cage. Left fingers reach up toward the ceiling. And then reach the arm up a little bit higher so that left shoulder blade pulls out to the side a bit. And then start to take the arm overhead little by little. And just notice if you start to compensate, poking the ribs out to get your arm overhead. And only go as far with the arm as you can while keeping the rib cage down. And then you can add on that stretch of the wrist. Right hand pulls the left fingers back. Glutes are staying on there, lengthening the tailbone forward. Nice. And then go ahead and let your arms come down. And then we're going to segment the spine down. So start to move your upper back down, like one vertebra at a time. Middle back. This is the hard part. Lower back, you really feel your lower belly drawing down. And then sacrum and all the way down. Nice. So let's bring your hands behind your head here. Cup your skull. Take an inhale breath. And exhale, lift up off your shoulder blades. Now look down at your ribs, and you can take your hand to your lower ribs and just kind of draw them together and down. Bring the hand back behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up off the shoulder blades. Look down at your ribs. You can take your fingers right to those lower ribs. Pull them together and down. Whew, that's a lot of work. Left hand behind your head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up. Take your hand to your ribs there. Draw them down. And then we're going to keep that. Just turn a little bit to the right. Can't even talk and do that. Come back through center, hand behind the head. Inhale to lower. Exhale, lift up off the shoulder blades. And you can go ahead, grab a hold of those lower ribs, draw them together. Everything's pulling down toward the sacrum. Little turn to the left, staying up off the scapula. Back through center, inhale, lower. We're going to do one more, add on one thing. Exhale, lift up. Maybe without the hands this time, draw those lower ribs together and down. Turn an inch to the right, and then maybe the left arm reaches outside of that right leg, and then reach that arm longer from the shoulder blade. Come back through center. Inhale to lower. Woo, last one. Exhale, lift up. Look down at the ribs, right? Draw them together, pull them down. Turn an inch to the left. Maybe that right arm reaches outside of the left leg, and then reach it a little bit longer. And back through center, release. So let's come around into a tabletop. Hope you felt that one. I am going to use a blanket for a little padding for my knees. If you've got a blanket or a pillow, you are welcome to do the same there. So we're going to start in a tabletop with the shoulders over the wrist and the hips over the knees. And then feel like you're drawing your lower belly up into this bone of the sacrum at the base of the spine. So we aren't letting the pelvis tip forward here. And then we're going to do a little bit of a thoracic, so mid upper back opener here. You're going to take your right arm, thread it underneath your left, and then push into your left hand, turn your ribs to the right, and that right arm follows. Right? So no need to look up at that top hand. You can just let your head relax there. We'll thread it under, exhale. Inhale, push the floor away, and turn your ribs to the right. So keep going there on your own. Try not to let that left shoulder roll in. And keeping just that hugging in of the abdominals. Nice. Let's go ahead and switch sides there. So right hand is down. Exhale, thread the left arm underneath the right. Inhale, push the floor away and turn the ribs. And keep it going. And noticing here how we are not trying to crank ourselves further by throwing that left arm back or gazing up at the hand, but we're just turning in the rib cage. And then the arm and the head are just following that, which might mean sometimes that you don't go quite as far as you want to. But we're just really trying to isolate that movement in the ribs. Go ahead and bring that left hand back down here. Now we're gonna do a little bit of spinal segmentation. And so starting off just in this nice neutral tabletop, throat is lifted up, hands are pushing the floor away, and then we're drawing these two sides of the pelvis together in front. And now starting really slowly, just start to scoop your tailbone under, and then we're drawing up in the lower belly. So it's like you are lifting each one vertebra at a time. We'll move into the middle back, into the upper back, the neck. Can let your head drop, and then slowly just reversing that. So lift your head up, neck, in between the shoulder blades, that's a hard one, middle back, lower back, and then maybe just turning the tailbone up slightly. Let's do that again. Start to scoop your tailbone under and lift, just lower belly. It's like you're using your abdominals to lift into that lower back, and then moving it up, middle back, upper back, neck. Let your head drop. And then reversing that. So lift your head, neck, space between the shoulder blades, middle back, lower back, and tailbone. And then just come back into neutral there and take a breath. So we're going to lift up into downward facing dog from here. I am going to be using blocks. You are welcome to follow along with me, or you can just have your hands flat on the floor. So we're going to tuck the toes under and then draw these lower ribs in. And then from your hip creases, pike your hips up. Knees can be bent. I actually encourage them to be bent. And then you can even be up on your toes. It's really going to send a lot more energy up into your core. So relax your head there. And then notice your ribs are not popping out here. So draw them in and then maintain that. Push the blocks or the floor away. So you actually feel your shoulder blades slide up towards your head without the ribs popping forward. Right? And so sometimes that can take a lot of practice. So let that just be something you come back to over and over and over again. So we're holding the ribs in and then really pushing through the arms. And then you can just let your head relax, do a little side to side, forward and back. Let's take one more breath there. And then we're going to take your right foot, step it forward. You can always grab a hold of your calf and give your leg a little bit of help there. Lower your left knee and we'll lift on up. So we're in a half kneel position here. Left hip is directly over the knee. And then bring your right hand behind your head and your left hand to your sacrum. Now draw the front of your body back into that left hand on the sacrum, and then draw your face and your throat back into your top hand. Now we're going to maintain this, right, so the ribs aren't popping forward here. We've got them held in. Just turn a little bit to your right, and then back through center. Turn a little bit to the right, and back. We're working this left glute, wrapping it down. Keep it going there. And just noticing what it's like to hold everything in neutral and start to move with that, right? Your brain might be like, what is going on, right? That's okay. This stuff takes practice, and it takes just repetition. It's doing it over and over and over again. Now this next time you turn to the right, hold it there, right arm reaches out, and then the left arm can reach out there. Keep wrapping that left glute down. Now left hand comes down, floor or block, and then hug this left shoulder in, lean back into that shoulder blade. And you can just let your left ear soften toward the shoulder there. And get a nice little stretch on the right side of your neck. And then from here, the right hand can come down. We're going to turn to the left for a goddess squat. Right, so legs are a little bit wider there. You can always play around with turning your feet in or out, just see what feels good for you. And then bring your hands to either side of your ribs, kind of like we did at the start. And we're just going to practice moving side to side. So we're holding the pelvis steady and then moving the ribs on top of that. And then we're holding those front ribs in. If you want to get a little crazier with it, you can take the arms out to the side. It's like a fun little dance move. And then we'll come back through center. We're going to turn around to the back. So you're welcome to take your block there with you. And we'll go right to the second side. So left foot is forward, right knee is down. We're in this half kneeling position. Right hip is directly over the knee. Now bring your left hand behind your head, right hand behind your sacrum, and then draw the front body back. So back into the bottom hand, the face moves back into the top hand. Right glute is wrapping down. And then we'll turn a little bit to the left and forward. A little bit to the left and forward. Keep it going there. Noticing we're keeping that right glute on, we're not letting the pelvis go, and we're not letting the ribs pop out. Right? If you need to, just make it even smaller. Now the next time you turn to the left, we'll stretch the left arm out and the right arm forward, and then hold the ribs in, right? And it will really feel like you're using your abdominals to help that turn. Right hand can come down, floor or block, and then we're hugging that right shoulder blade down and then leaning back into it. You can just let your right ear soften toward the shoulder and just get a nice little stretch in that left side of the neck. And then we'll take the left hand down, turn to the right for that goddess squat again. And then if you like, hands can be on the sides of the ribs or straight out, and we're just moving side to side. And so I always advocate anytime you are feeling disconnected from a part of your body, it feels like it's not moving the way you want it to, put your hands on it, right? So you can grab a hold of it, you can do little taps, right? So we're just giving that area feedback. We're kind of rebuilding the connection between the brain and that area that maybe we're a little disassociated from. And then we will take this back around to the front. And if you've got blocks there, you can put your hands right on the blocks on any setting, or really anything you have nearby. Just put your hands on it. We're gonna sit back into the hip creases here, and then take your left hand down to the block or whatever item you have, bend your left knee, lift up the heel, and then turn your ribs to the right, pick up your right elbow. And the palm can face toward your face. And then switching sides. So right hand comes down, we lift the right heel, bend the knee, turn your ribs to the left, pick up the elbow, palm faces in. And just let your head relax there. Let's do one more each side. Left hand down, left heel up, and turn. Right hand down, right heel up, and lift. Left hand comes down, and then let's come down onto your back. Grab one block if you have it, and I'm also going to use my little blanket here as a pillow. So you can put something underneath your head if you like, and then take the block on its highest setting in line with your right hip. We're going to bring the left leg over onto the block, and the right knee is bent. And then bring your right arm out to the right, left hand comes on top of it. And we're just going to take the left fingers and start to trace them overhead. And so you open up to the left, and then I stretch through the chest, through the ribs, and then circle that left arm back over the hip. And we're just doing little circles there. So if you don't have a block there, you can put your left knee just on anything, just getting it up to about the level of the hip. And if your shoulder is a little tweaky at all, you don't have to do a full circle. You could even just take it straight across your body, open up. Right? It's your practice, your body. Make it feel good for you. And let's just switch sides here. We'll take the block, highest setting over in line with the left hip. Right knee comes over on top of it. And then take left arm straight out to the left, right hand down on top of it. And then you can just start to circle. And if that bothers your shoulder, just take it straight across. And that left knee is bent. And as you're ready there, just go ahead and roll onto your back. Set up in any way that is comfortable. The knees can be bent or straight, arms relaxed. And just notice the difference. Notice maybe more of a sense of spaciousness, of freedom in your ribs. And freedom to breathe deeper into your lungs. And to grow and expand, but from this place of support and from this place of strength. And as you're ready, just begin to open your eyes. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes. And just making your way over to your side, and then eventually coming all the way back up to a seat. And just place one hand on your belly, one hand over your heart. And just allow yourself to let everything that we talked about today just sink in, so that you can integrate it in your body. And you can feel the difference as you move throughout the rest of your day and the rest of your week. And just noticing those subtle shifts. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will see you for part 3 when we're going to talk all about the neck.